Oda's back at it again. He really is. I really don't know what to think about these admirals. I'm not gonna lie, because although Alkiji's display was good, Garp's was better. But Kizaru had a really good display of just getting in and getting it done quickly, like he did in Sabayoti, which I think is very important because obviously the whole build up to this chapter is him seeing Luffy again. But and I know a lot of people are saying this is like parallels to Sabaody, Rayleigh's gonna show up and Boa's gonna show up and all these people are gonna show up, and that's entirely true. But we got no Smoker. Where is Smoker? We get a scene at the beginning of this chapter, right? I'm still confused. We get a scene at the beginning of this chapter where all the other vice admirals that came with and the 9 vice admirals are here just like taking out some of the sea beasts. Might I also there's a beautiful panel with the sea beast real quick. Oh, it's actually look great. You see like a sea beast with mechanical dreadlocks and a sea beast like a mole sea beast. Like the designs are actually really cool. I'm not gonna lie. Those are like really cool designs. That's one of my favorite thing about Vegapunk right now is the kind of the sci-fi designs of all the different things around. It's so sick. It really is. It's one of my favorite things with the arc so far. But we get a lot in this chapter about Sentomaru specifically. Obviously we get the build up with the admiral, the vice admirals and stuff. We get Doll kicking, and obviously you're like, oh, Sanji opponent, but I don't think so. I think Doll might end up being I could see her being another Nami opponent. Showing that Nami's stronger now after she got Zeus, and she took out Ulti with the help of Usopp, but now Doll is her next opponent because I feel like Oda doesn't like to give Robin fights. Robin's not a fighter. She gets the odd fight here and there. We saw that she got her first fight in a long time with Black Maria. So I think this might be Nami's fight against Doll. Because it might be, since we're doing parallels and stuff, the parallel to NS Lobby is, oh my god, they're after Nico Robin, and Sanji has to fight a woman and he won't fight her, so Nami takes over. You know what I mean? That sort of stuff. I could see that happening. I'd actually really like that. I'm not gonna lie. Because I like to see it when Nami fights, especially with her new powers. They're a lot more versatile. I like lightning in these sort of TV shows. Even in the newest anime episode, you might have seen the short I did on it. It's just lightning swinging everywhere. Lightning's all around. It's a fantastic atmosphere, and the effects are just beautiful. So to see that a fight with like Nami using lightning and stuff like that, I just like lightning. I'm not gonna lie, it's like my favorite power. If I was to eat any of the devil fruits, it would definitely be an L's fruit, man. I'd love to have lightning powers. I don't know if this makes any sense. I've said this for years that like if you had lightning powers, you could like, because the whole thing is right, with the disability that I have, it's like oh your brain doesn't send messages to your legs as well, so that's why they don't work as well. And then combined with the cerebral palsy or something, I don't know. I honestly, some of the cerebral palsy is really confusing. I'm not gonna lie. So I was like, well, if I had lightning powers, I could like rework the nerves, right? Surely that works. Or like I could, or something like that. Or I could like supercharge the core muscles or something, or like repair the brain. So I was always like, that should be so cool. Imagine that. I could. That's the same thing with the Naruto chakra system. You're literally just there, like, oh, I can recharge it or reprogram it that way. I don't know if that makes any sense, but that's what I love about that shit. And then we see that obviously, but the main part of the chapter is, as I said, it's to do with Sentomaru, right? And Sentomaru is basically fighting against Kizaru. It's actually a really cool fight. I read it for the first time. I have to say, I have to stop reading these chapters on my phone. I do not get the full effect because I had to read it. I had to read it once when it comes out, and I had to read it again before I make this video. And I read it on the laptop here, and it's just a better experience. I get to see everything. On the phone, it's not great. I need to get an iPad or something. But iPads are just so expensive. They're like €800. I'm not paying that shit. Not a chance in hell. Like they should not be that much money. So like, but when I read the fight on the laptop or on the computer, it was like really really clean. I love that fight because it's just Kizaru's just kind of playing with him a little bit, but also he's being kind of sincere, right? We see a human side to Kizaru we haven't seen before, which is interesting because we're seeing a lot of the human sides of each admiral. I wonder if the end of this arc is going to show us a more human side to Akainu. You know what I mean? Obviously, it might end up being Fujitora showing up, but we already saw his human side. And I think Green Bull is the admiral, whereas like he's just a fool. He's just like he's a sheep following the Gorosei like that. He doesn't know anything. He's a fool. I don't think he's even gonna have a proper character arc, to be honest. I just think he's supposed to represent like that evil marine. You know what I mean? I don't think they're actually even gonna give him some character. He's just gonna be an admiral for people to beat up on. I feel like they had Shanks beat up on him. They're probably gonna have Sanji beat him. Let's be real, since they have this woman thing going on, and his kind of distreatment of everyone as well won't be a positive thing. He's probably gonna end up being abusive because we saw he was like the celestial dragons are so far above him, and he's probably gonna be like, well, I'm an admiral, so these women who are serving me are so far beneath me, sort of thing. It's probably what they're going for with him, and then Sanji's gonna be like, you can't speak to a woman like that. We're gonna have like them, Sanji completely destroy him. I don't even think it's gonna be like a close fight. I think Sanji's just gonna like we have Sanji's actual opponent waiting up for him at the Gorosei, but then he has to get through Green Bull and like two panels, and he's just like Conseiller, and he's just kicking around. He's like bam, bam, bam. Well, obviously with feet, and he's like bam, and then just kicking him up. He might even fly. It'd be funny if like Green Bull flies straight, like just flies straight into the government flag, and it tears as he falls to the ground, and we don't see him again. Falls to the sea, and we don't see him again. It'd be an intro. I don't know, something like that, like the Plus Ultra scene from MHA. The only time I'll mention MHA in a positive way. Do you know what I mean? But I think that sort of thing with the admirals, I think Kizaru is actually getting the most respect out of all. Because every time he shows up, he wrecks house, and he's doing it here as well with Sentomaru. His attacks are mad cool to see. But we get to see a human side of him where he did actually care for Sentomaru. He cared about, he cared about him. He raised him. He taught him how to fight. Well, not raised him, but he taught him how to fight. Do you know what I mean? I think that's a nice human connection to have for Kizaru, which we hadn't had before. So I'm personally very happy with this. I can't wait to see what fight plays out. We see Zoro fighting Lucci in this chapter, actually. It goes straight to that. Lucci betrays him, pretty obvious, right? But I wasn't expecting that. That was really left field. Like I was expecting the betrayal, but I wasn't expecting Zoro to be Lucci's opponent. That's actually super, super cool. I don't think we're gonna get Kaku fighting Sanji. I think Sanji might not get a fight this arc. I'm starting to think, unless Luffy has a stronger opponent to fight at some point. I think now they've made their bed. I think Oda seems to have made his bed. Now we're probably gonna just see Luffy fight Kizaru. But you know what? I'm down with that. I actually think that's pretty cool. I'm 100% down with that. That ending panel where he's kicking and he's like, we're 100 times stronger. Don't underestimate us. And Kizaru's like, oh, you cheeky as ever, Straw Hat. That was just so good. And I can't wait to see what the fight is, to be honest. Because I feel like they're trying to set this up as if it's another Fishman Island, after a big explosive power up. We're just gonna strut our stuff this arc. You know what I mean? The Straw Hats are gonna show off why they're Yonko crew. And I think that's gonna happen for a very long part of the arc, and then all of a sudden, one chapter, it's just gonna flick a switch and it's all gone. All of a sudden, they get completely destroyed. And I just wanna see who that is. I don't know. Because I've been going on. I went on for this for a while. I made a video about it like months and months ago. Was it even years ago at this point? It was Smoker being like the prototype for the Seraphim, and like his body is like the Jugo from Naruto, where it's all mutated now. Imagine if he's like, he destroys Luffy somehow, or he comes back and he's like mind controlled or like controlled by the government, and then he just destroys it. I don't think that's gonna happen, but it would be an interesting idea. But I can't see at this point, unless they have the 5L, like Jay Garcia show up, and he, as I said, do the reverse of Sabaody, where he punches Luffy to the ground, which they might have him do. I actually think that might be an interesting way to show that the Gorosei mean business, is have him deal with Luffy. But I don't know. But the whole build up this chapter, I think, is quite interesting because we still have Bonnie just doing her thing. And I didn't mention this in the previous chapter because I do forget things. People think she's Devon. I can't remember the full name, but Blackbeard's shapeshifting woman. And I don't know. I think it could be that. But I feel like I'd rather it be the super strong guy turns out to be like someone on Blackbeard's crew. But again, Bonnie being Devon would be interesting. Where we cut back, maybe we cut back to the Kuma flashback, and then what happens is we see Bonnie's in there and it's like present day, and then we have that knowledge for like a chapter or two before the Straw Hats figure that out. Do you know what I mean? I think that'd be interesting. I think having Blackbeard be that disruptive force that forces Luffy off the island somehow, or have his crew be that disruptive force that forces Luffy off the island, and then he has to go, and we get that Elbath arc, but it's a lot more sinister than it would have been because he actually has to do something. He can't just leave Egghead the way it is, or some event that has him in peril, so they're not as focused, and it's a more getting business done arc than we originally hoped for. I don't know, to be honest, in that regard, how I'd prefer it. Like, obviously, I'd rather have a bit of fun with Elbath, but having it be like, oh, we got to get some business done. We can't mess around. That could be an interesting approach as well. But I just prefer like be able to take our time with Elbath and enjoy it. Because that's probably my most anticipated arc of the series. To be honest, I think I anticipate Elbath more than I anticipate the end of the series. I'm not gonna lie. I love Elbath. I love the idea of Elbath. I love the idea of like Luffy meeting Shanks on Elbath. You know what? Now with Dorian Broggy back on Elbath, Robin reuniting with Saul. There's a lot of stuff in this arc that has really gotten me to care a lot more about Elbath, even more than I already did. But I don't know. I can see this fight with Kizaru though, which is something I'm really looking forward to now. I think it's gonna be a really interesting dynamic with like Luffy's ridiculousness and Kizaru's light. I think it's gonna play off each other really well because it's like gonna be flashes of light bouncing off Luffy, and it's just gonna be. I think Kizaru will have to rely a lot more on his hockey, and we'll see his hockey prowess. He might even have. If he has conquerors, I'll be very surprised because we got a thing in the last chapter where he was like, "I'm just a cog in the machine." So Kizaru having conquerors would be extremely surprising, but I want to see how Oda justifies it if it happens. Also, I think as well him not having conquerors and still competing with Luffy might show how people with Rio can still be super strong and top tiers. Maybe not the top five or whatever, but can still be top tiers. And I think that'd be an interesting way to show it. Because then you wouldn't have to have Sanji get conquerors. Obviously, I think he should get conquerors. But if we see the upper limits of armament hockey through Kizaru in this upcoming arc, I think that will be an interesting way to show that Sanji can fight against Zoro and compete with him without conquerors. Obviously, he has these enhancements and flame enhancements and stuff, which obviously give him an upper edge. But I do think we need to see armament hockey show why it's here and why we need it at the end of the day. You know what I mean? Obviously, it's to fight Logias, but I think it needs another purpose, and I feel like we might find that out here today with or during this fight against Luffy. It's also just gonna be a really cool fight to see Luffy finally, hopefully, defeating Admiral. I'm not gonna lie, that's gonna be some super super cool stuff. That like this has been 15 years in the making. I cannot wait for this. I think this fight is gonna take like if we saw. I'm just going off this now. I think this fight is gonna take up the entire island. They're just gonna be zooming around the place because Luffy can stretch super far. Kizaru's gonna try and get away from him. Luffy's gonna stop him, reach up to something, grab it, and push it into his face, and then he's gonna pop up with Kizaru, and you're gonna pop out like this, and then they're gonna just be fighting around. Luffy's gonna be kicking about, having a bit of fun. Kizaru's gonna be like trying to get his mission done. Luffy's gonna keep blocking him like this, just grabbing onto stuff and swinging around. And I honestly think it could take up the entire island, just them fighting. Which I think is one of the greatest things about Luffy's new power up for Gear 5 is that you can have fights take place across the entire island because Luffy has that ability now. He has that ridiculousness to move around in the air. We saw it in the Kaido fight where he runs off the island and he runs back on, or he slides against the island. You can like the ability to draw ridiculous and crazy scenes. We're only seeing the true effects of that now, especially in the anime where they're just given free reign for that. And I think the Kizaru fight is surprisingly a fight where they can actually just let loose with that. Because we got a person made of light and a ridiculous rubber man fighting against each other. That's gonna be some crazy stuff. Like actually straight up. And then we get a more interesting, well, I would argue more interesting in terms of just pure skill in Zoro and Lucci. We didn't get this fight in the NS lobby, and to actually get Zoro fighting Lucci now is going to be so much fun to watch. Honestly, just a pure skill fight with Zoro fighting against one of Luffy's previous opponents. We don't get it that much for Zoro to try and measure up to a character who Luffy already beat, especially when he beat him in this arc. I think if Zoro beats him very handily, that's going to show off a very clear discussion of where Zoro stands. But if Zoro struggles against Lucci, people might be having a different conversation here when it comes to him versus Luffy. But I think this fight is probably going to be just super technical. You know, really cool sword play. Like that was the thing with the King fight, right? The King fight was really nice in the anime, but only in near the end of it. Whereas in the manga, we didn't get to see as much. But those swordplay panels with Zoro, one of my personal favorites actually is the I think it's the Lion Song one where he tries to cut King. Like a lot when Oda draws Zoro, it's a very rough but kind of technical swordplay. I like seeing sword fights in One Piece, and I think although Lucci isn't a sword fighter, a character of similar size and proportion to Zoro will allow him to have a sort of sword fight in a sense, fighting with his swords. We'll see Zoro's true abilities now that he's mastered Enma, and I think it's going to be a beautiful scene to watch. I think it's going to be a beautiful fight, and to have those two fights going on in this arc, I think I'm just really looking forward to. I can't think of an opponent for Sanji. I actually cannot, unless someone shows up. He could fight Seraphim again if they go against them, but I don't think he always needs an opponent though, because he's kind of protecting people. He's kind of just escorting people out of here. He might be the more like taking on the odd opponent here and there, but I don't think we need a long like an actual dedicated opponent for Sanji. Because not every Straw Hat needs a dedicated opponent every arc. We've seen that with Usopp doesn't always get an opponent. And Sanji, not to say he resolved his personal issues the last arc, but he needs to spend more time with Vegapunk to answer any leftover questions he may have. So I feel like maybe have him have more dialogue with Vegapunk than we've already had so far, instead of having him have a fight this arc. Because we got one of his best fights with Queen, especially in the anime. In my opinion, I still prefer the Sanji fight in the anime than I do the Zoro fight in the anime. I know the Zoro fight is technically better in terms of an animation standpoint, but I don't know. Sanji's fight, I just loved it in the anime a lot. I did love Zoro as well, but I think some of the build-up episodes were not as good. I think the auras the auras in the anime are really nice in a lot of ways, but I feel like for Zoro in particular, it just ruins it for me personally, because Zoro's a swordsman, right? So it feels kind of, I know it's a bit like, what are you talking about, man? You're a Dragon Ball fan. But I think Zoro being more grounded as a fighter is what I enjoy, and having the more aura based fighting style in the anime, it works great for Luffy and it works great for Sanji and it works great for everyone else. But I think sword fighters are where it falls short a little bit. Now, luckily in that final fight, which is what I love about it, is they focused more on King with the auras. So it was Zoro was more swordplay. But I think I do like the manga Zoro, where we just see Zoro do his sword shit, and there's no there's no extra icing on the cake. Do you know what I mean? We just get that, and that's what I like. That's how I like it. It's a personal preference now when it comes to Zoro and his fights, but I just think that's why I'm so excited for that Lucci fight. I hope he does fight Lucci. I hope we don't get blue balled in that sense, right? Yeah, no. Honestly though, we got another break this week, and I'm okay with that. A chapter every other week has been pretty decent so far. I like it because it's like we get more One Piece in the long run. You know what I mean? It's gonna be going on longer, stuff like that. I'm not gonna complain. I'm only worried about the anime. When it catches up, it's gonna catch up quicker. That's the only problem. So, mate, I'm hoping to God, the only thing that's worrying me about these breaks is I'm hoping to God that they do not ruin Egghead with like the elongated, shots, the elongated shots of reactions or dragging everything out. I'd rather a filler arc about like Luffy getting stuck in Ringo before they leave Wano than that stuff. Something. A filler arc like, oh, spend 7 episodes out on sea, something happens on their way to Egghead or something. Because they travel for like a month or like for a week or something. Do some filler there. Have them go on a filler island to do some like filler shit. I don't care. Do not do not ruin Egghead for me with this. Oh, we're catching up to the manga. We have to elongate everything. Please, please don't ruin Egghead. I'm worried now. I'm actually worried because they're with all these breaks. I'm like they're gonna catch up quickly. Do you know what I mean? I'm worried Toei's gonna ruin Egghead, and I do not want that. I don't want that with the along. Oh man, I rewatched that episode with the sumo slap the other day. Crazy stuff. The opening and endings might save it though. They added in a new opening and ending, and the ending, that's another 2 minutes off the time. So hopefully, hopefully we get a good adaptation for Egghead. I love how I have to pray for it, but you know what? It is what it is, eh? Oh man, I'm excited now. Actually, I honestly think the Lucci fight is what's exciting me most about this arc. Just seeing Zoro fight an opponent that Luffy already had is getting me real excited. I know I've repeated it a few times, but with that being said, I actually want to know what your guys' favorite moment or most anticipated moment of Egghead is. And if you think my worries about the anime's upcoming arc for Egghead are warranted, they might even take a break. They've been taking a lot of breaks, and maybe that's good. But with that being said, I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, make sure to like and subscribe for more content from me. And I'll see you all next time. Have a good day. Goodbye.